Hello, everybody. We are here on another Friday. It is Edmentum, Illinois Presents on our YouTube channel. I'm here with my colleagues, Casey Stone, Meredith Whittick, and we are very pleased to have as our guest today, Dr. Corey Tafoya, the Superintendent of Schools in Harvard District 50 up in McHenry County. If you do not follow Corey on Twitter yet, please make sure that you do so. He is at Dr. Corey Tafoya. Doctor, how are you, sir?
I'm good, but I don't know if you should proclaim my Twitter because I had a typo last night. Being super proud, instead of our District 50 women's coaches track athletes, I proclaimed them how proud I was of our coaches and our atheists.
Okay.
So I don't know if I need that publicity. Maybe I should just work on my craft a little bit before I get too much press. Or maybe I'll get more followers by these horrible typos that I have.
Yeah, for sure. And you have Elon Musk to thank for the edit feature now, right?
That's right. Thank God, right?
Yeah,
I could have used
absolutely.
it last night. I should teach me from posting anything after 9 o'clock without my glasses on, because I was super proud of our coaches and our atheists on our group. That's just life. No one's perfect.
Oh, I love it. Life and social media. Corey, we appreciate your time here today. I know that we were on the call here before we hit the record button talking a little bit about goals. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about some of the things that you are talking about? You have a term that you're using in Harvard called big, hairy, audacious goals. Corey, maybe you can fill us in and the viewers a little bit about that.
Yeah, we have this fun little thing, and I am a big subscriber to a lot of the schools of thought of all of Jim Collins's work, especially all of his Good to Great. And one of the things that he really talks about it are those big, hairy, audacious goals, things that your organization, and his thing is more organizational structure. It does not specific to schools per se, but what are those things that, man, if we said that was really what we were going to attain, wouldn't that be incredible? And so a few years back, it was pre-pandemic, I guess it was the fall of 2019, we established our own, we call them our BHAGs, our big, hairy, audacious goals. And we sat down as a leadership group and kind of with our board a little bit and said, what are some things that are so aspirational that at this point they sound like impossible to achieve, things that we would never ever do? And so we've kind of settled on these. And it's funny how they have become this really guidepost or anchor for what it is that we want to do with ourselves. And it's a funnel for all things, truly. I mean, we talk about, does it fit into a BHAG? Will this, if we're going to spend time and money and effort and put a lot of things in it, which BHAG does it support, or does it support multiple things? And so when that becomes this lens that you see everything through, it really is helpful. And so right now, especially in district offices, maybe not so much in buildings, but we're really even thinking about next year, how do we allocate PD? What are the things, the tools and resources that we need to either renew, not renew, whatever. And so we really have this BHAG. And so our BHAGs are, we want to be a PLC model PLC, as Solution Tree has these model PLCs, and we've adopted that, and we've spent a lot of money trying to get everyone in the organization to do that. So now it's kind of implementation and new people in the organization. We want to have avid demonstration schools. We're a proud avid district, and we want to make sure that we're pushing our schools to be avid demonstration, which are kind of their signature schools where people would come visit us if they want to learn the right way to be avid. So that's, I mean, when you talk about aspirational, that's as high as we get. And we want to have 50% of our graduates earn the seal of biliteracy. We have a huge dual language program here that is one of our hallmark programs. Super proud of that. So if 50% of our students would walk out of our schools fluent in 2 languages, I mean, what an asset to every single kid. 98% graduation rate. And we want to do all these things, all those 4 major accomplishments in modern 21st century learning spaces, and all done by deliriously happy people. And that's what kind of people remember the BHAGs for, is that last bit, all done with deliriously happy people. But why it's really been on my mind is, I think, and we're talking, and I don't want to jinx anything, but if we talk about our post-pandemic educational world, there's a lot of temptation to wonder how to do it, and the deviation of, boy, do I do this? Do I do this? And we've really said, okay, what we're going to do is anchor on to this idea that the BHAGs mattered then. There's still things that we can do. How are we going to continue to monitor that? How are we going to check in on that? How are we going to still stay true to those things that we identified long ago is super important in terms of our daily existence. Everyone's going to come, and how did I actually ask people in our admin team, what did you do this month to improve the BHAGs for the district? And I hope you have something to say, because there really should be something that you're doing at all levels, whether you're pre-K or whether you're high school, that can help with that, whether it's helping people's attitude and pride in coming to work, or improving our facilities, or improving dual language programs, whatever. There's hopefully something you can say. So this is the time of year, and I've really been focusing a lot on that right now, because we have this temptation to just deviate and get lost a little bit about how do we proceed in this world after the pandemic. With every decision we make, we've been forced into a lot of weird things that we didn't necessarily knew we could do, or maybe didn't necessarily want to do. What's worth keeping? What's worth keeping? So the idea of focus and goal setting has really been especially on my mind. And I know, like, I was reading actually Mike Lewinfeld, in their district, they call it their big three. And theirs isn't like measurable, dated like ours is, or maybe it is, and I'm just not familiar. But I think places like that, I think that really gives something to hold on to. And when we said some of these goals that we created initially, we were like, come on, this is, give me a break. How do we ever do that? But some of them, we're actually starting to see some progress, and to the point where we see ourselves creeping up to that. And it gets to be a little bit exciting, because it just enhances the motivation and inspiration and dedication to that goal, and focuses us.
I love hearing the colorful language you use when you're describing the tracking the BHAGs, on the hunt for the BHAGs. So I'm going to ask a question to you in a similar colorful fashion. When you're on the hunt for these BHAGs that are out there in the distance, what are your tracking mechanisms? What are your milestones that you're dropping in, on the ground, so you can find your way back and make these BHAGs more attainable?
It was a realization that we had at the start of this year, maybe it was last summer, that we wanted to talk about those things and kind of share with the board our progress on those things. And we realized we didn't really have consistent measurement tools of those things per se, because some of them are, I guess, a little less defined in terms of what the public might understand. If you're talking about becoming an avid demonstration school, that's not as easy to understand as 98% graduation rate or something like that. So we had to figure out what are some of the short-term, long-term things that we're doing to measure that. And we didn't really have anything, to be honest. And so that's what this year has been a little bit more about, is how can we revisit these things? How can we find what specifically can we say that would lead us to know that, hey, we're doing, that our people are becoming happier in the organization. Things like retention rates. The primary thing, do they want to stay or do they want to leave? That's pretty good sign of what they think, how happy they are. But there's surveys and things like that. So we're working. I don't think we're totally there yet, because we don't have a combined and consistent scoreboard, if you will, of the things that will help us let us know. But we're trying to talk about these 90, 120-day goals that say, okay, yeah, we're on the right path. We can see a little progress there, or, ooh, we're seeing some regression here. What's going on there? And that's really what we've chosen to do. And it still, though, allows us to have this alignment towards those things as we're on the hunt. We know that there are steps we've got to take along the way. And if you go back to your teaching days, boy, formative assessments tell you everything. They're way more valuable in many times than the summative. So we're trying to do a lot of formative assessment of where these things are going, and that sometimes is hard to hear and absorb. In the pandemic, not everyone is deliriously happy. And it's been hard to say, what can I do to make you more deliriously happy in your work? But keeping that conversation, that's why I go back to the idea of focus, allowing that to still be the conversation objective, and not saying, well, maybe we want people to be pretty happy. That's not what we said. Or maybe, we can work in pretty nice spaces. That's not at all what we said. We want them to be audacious, to truly hold on to the A and B. That's what we're after.
That's awesome. Corey, you mentioned that, the leadership team, along with some of the board members and things, helped develop these BHAGs. And, you also mentioned that some of them, like the avid demonstration schools, are little bit harder for people to kind of understand or, grasp. So how do you, or have you gone about trying to get, buy-in throughout the district, all the way down to that teacher level, all the way up to the board? What are some ways that you've done that?
Well, that's a great question, because it's challenging, because they are diverse in what leads you to organizationally to get there. What are the systems that will lead us to get there? And it's always got to go back to how do I notice my life getting better through what that is. And if I'm a dual language teacher and I know that one of my students earns a seal of biliteracy and I know I'm part of that, there's something, tangentially warm about that experience, right? And so that's, especially with things like PLCs, knowing that it makes your work better. We've tried to make it say this isn't something to make the administration look good or the district look good per se in itself. In the end, our kids are going to be better off by working in close proximity to someone that's ridiculously happy for even in the hardest days when things are really tough. That's going to make their experience better and will lead to things. So what we've tried to do is to make everyone realize that these aren't administrative buzzwords. And as we've all probably experienced, oh no, the superintendent went to a conference, he's going to come back with something new, we're going to have a new focus. Whole thing, he's in Nashville, he's going to come back with something crazy, I guarantee. And we'll do that for a year and then we'll go on to something new. And what we've tried to say is, no, these are the things that we believe in. We're going to anchor down on these things, and we're not going to even consider anything that doesn't help. And so that's why, like tools like Edmentum that we can use for 98% graduation rate, we anchor in on these things because we know their value and we know how they fit within the system, because we're always trying to improve that, and we have these incremental changes. But none of them are designed to be anything other than something that is universally helpful. None of these things are designed to, build a portfolio for me or any administrator or board members to campaign on. It's not about that. It just really is helping the kids have this incredible experience, and that's hopefully what it comes across as a tool in that sense.
I love it. So really just going back to the mission, right? And all about the kids. Yeah.
It is, and we lose track of mission and vision because it feels so austere and out there. But when you remember BHAGs, that's kind of nitty gritty and easy to remember. People start talking about these things. And so we're even doing recognitions, quarterly recognitions. Who did you catch advancing the BHAG? And we give prizes and gifts to people that nominate each other. In the last go around, I think we had 70 different nominations of someone that nominated someone else in the organization for work they saw that was making people deliriously happy, or someone that had done something to advance our learning spaces and make them 21st century. So it's that type of recognition and just the recycling that in people's awareness. It works. It works for me. It helps me think again about, I didn't appreciate what a great PLC I just witnessed was run. I need to go back and nominate that person, because that's what we're looking for. That's what gets us to this distinction level.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us here this morning. Everyone, again, we have Dr. Corey Tafoya here. He is the superintendent of Harvard D50, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. I'll try to keep my typos and humor to the intentional variety from now on. I like to have some fun here. That's part of being, deliriously happy, is having some fun. And this has been a lot of fun to be with you today. Thanks.
It has. Thanks, Corey.
Our pleasure. Thanks.
Bye.
Corey.